1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sound check. Is the mic working? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Testing, 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 testing. Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. We are live on YouTube. Hopefully those on the live stream can hear what I'm saying, and we do have no audio issues. I'm your host Ian Croll, and alongside me today to talk all things Everton, we've got Gavin Buckland and Tony Scott. First up, Gav, how are things? All good?
Yeah. Look, England's first game tonight.
Looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You going to keep a close eye on Jordan Pickford? He's always under a lot of scrutiny when it comes to England, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's done well for England, hasn't he? Like he's done well for Everton. So, if anything, he's got different playing for England, isn't it, in terms of how busy they are? But he's, over the last 10 years, you'd probably say him and Kane have been our most consistent players, wouldn't you, really, in that time?
Absolutely. Have you been staying up for any of the rest of them?
No. I tried to watch 11 o'clock the other night. I fell asleep though. I'd had a couple of beers, but it is
standard.
I'm looking forward to tonight. I was thinking, what was the first England World Cup game you can remember?
World Cup game probably in '98. Yeah. One of the group games in '98.
Yeah. Mine was, I was speaking to my lads about this. So my lad's 9 going on 10, and I was his age when I had my first footballing memory of watching England in a World Cup. Was it David Platt against Cameroon? In 1990, yeah. And I remember me dad and me granddad absolutely just jumping all over the living room, and I thought, wow, that's when it just like the World Cup. That was my first image. So I was about 9 or 10. 1990, yeah. That was my first recollection of the World Cup and what it meant to everyone. And I was saying to me lad, like, you're the same age as I was. Like, this is like your first World Cup.
It's slightly different for me because England didn't qualify in 74 and 78. Yeah. So I was 16 when the first saw England play in 82. It was quite funny actually. We were doing our O-levels at school. We had an O-level in the afternoon. That was due to finish at 4:30. And the game kicked off against France, 4:15. So the teachers brought the exam forward half an hour. So it finishes at 4 o'clock. So I was just like, finished at 4 o'clock. I mean, to be fair, given my score, I think I might as well finish it after. It wouldn't have made a lot of difference. Pegged home to ours, got in after 45 seconds. Guess what? England had already scored. Waited 16 years to see England score a goal in the World Cup finals and was late and only got in 45 seconds after kick-off. Brian Robson scored after 27 seconds and I missed it. It's a bit like our NJ experience in the last game.
Have you heard about our NJ experience? This.
Go on.
So obviously me and Gav have been going to Goodison for God knows how long. Obviously Gav more than me. We've seen thousands upon many goals at Goodison. And me and Gav are sat next to each other for the last ever game at Goodison.
Yeah.
And obviously we see the first goal, don't we?
Yeah.
Made up, and I got to like 2 or 3 minutes before half time, and Gav says to me, "Should we go downstairs for a pie?" I said,
because he moved the press room food.
It was an extended, so we had to
go downstairs to the
so he said, okay, and I didn't want to go because obviously the euphoria.
Don't blame me.
Just his elbow, He said, go ahead then, we'll go and get a pie. So we went downstairs, get a pie, and then Jai scores the last goal. So the next minute at half time, it's 2-0 against Southampton there already. We'll see a goal here, the last ever goal. Because we never seen it. We were out eating a pie next to Gav.
You've never forgiven me since, and I don't think it was my idea. Where was the Stuart Pike? Why didn't Stuart Pike come with us? He was. Did he know something we didn't?
Yeah, he probably smelled. He's probably smelled it.
You got yourselves to blame.
Exactly.
At the time,
blaming him. Food on the brain.
I thought I'll be okay.
Probably ale on the brain.
Yeah.
Even if they'd have scored, I would have been quite happy.
So we missed it. We missed Everton's last ever goal at Goodison.
That's a nice little segue into NJ.
It was,
It
is,
indirectly.
Absolutely. You okay, Toe? Yeah.
Yeah. As Gav said, I'm looking forward to watching England. I fancied them to go very deep in the tournament. Listen, it depends what obviously side of the fence you sit on here, because there's a load of scouts that you speak to that obviously they have this thing about that scouts not English, but me, I love watching England. Not obviously in the pre-season the friendlies and all that. I'm not into that, but when they're in tournaments and the Euros and the World Cup, I'm fully behind them. And you want them to do well in terms of any sport as well. Doesn't matter if it's boxing, athletics. I want to see England win everything as possible. So yeah, I'll be fully behind England tonight. I was
going to say, it depends what your class is going deep. Even though around the 16s going deep in this tournament with the amount of teams and rounds, isn't it?
It's funny that Gav was obviously mentioned them 70s World Cups. I was having a discussion with my dad in terms of like this England team, the last 10 or 15 years, is arguably the more successful than any other England team since 66. And I was saying about all them brilliant teams in the 70s and 80s that England had in terms of it, obviously in the top division. They never had a very good England team.
Yeah,
and they failed to qualify for a lot as well, even in the 90s.
Only 16 teams in 74 and
78. Still saying that the amount of teams that England were dominating European competitions.
Well, that was always the problem. Really.
And when you can't qualify for an international tournament, it's mind-blogging. And obviously, my dad was explaining it's that we didn't qualify for the numerous games.
It was different. It was far harder to qualify than 16-team final tournament. It was 40. I remember them going from 16 to 24 in 1982 and saying, "Can't do this." It'll drop off to be a huge drop off in quality.
And that was 48.
And that was 48. I tell you what, go. I mean, I have this theory that that at some point FIFA will have to invent new countries, just to have a 68-team World Cup. Or
I do like that thought of it though, Gavin. Like, listen, if you keep football close within like 12 or 16 countries, football's never going to develop elsewhere. You're never going to see Cape Verde against Spain ever again.
There's a reason why it's extended to 48, not to increase the skill of smaller nations around the world, is it? It's
money. Of course it's money, but it's nice to develop football across the world, isn't it? That's the whole point of it.
That's what football's about now. It's not making it more entertaining for fans. It's about making profit.
Well, it is a business. We all know that. Every fan will tell you that.
Content, that's what it's about. Anyway, a bit like this podcast.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to have a drinks break during this podcast.
Hydration break.
Go make a cup of tea.
After 15 minutes, we'll just have a drink.
We're definitely going to need one. Right before the agenda, just very quickly, I know we've had a couple of audio issues over the past couple of episodes, so I do apologise about that. Just to let everyone know that when I do a podcast, I do everything. I host, I produce. So if we're live and there's an issue, obviously just appreciate the patience of everyone who listens. Well, it's mainly watchers because we do it live because we always fix it after the fact.
You're the James Garner of this, but you just do you're everywhere.
Just utility. Play me right back and I'll be fine.
You're right back, left back, centre midfield. You're everywhere.
Yeah. So I appreciate everyone's patience. There was just a few comments on the last one, and some of them were dead tongue in cheek, but one or two annoyed me a little bit. But I just thought, like, what can I do? If there's a sound issue, I'll do my best to fix it.
And I'm probably speaking to you, Mike, because you did tell me off.
Oh, you've been told off.
Somebody told me off on the chat, and quite right, so I will.
If we want people to hear your crazy opinions, Gav, speak into the mic.
Not so crazy.
Okay, today's agenda, we are primarily going to focus on Iliman Ndiaye, the comments he made in a recent interview, which in many people's eyes have cast fresh doubt over his Everton future. So that'll be the main talking point of the podcast. We'll also talk about Everton's pre-season schedule. Only one game scheduled so far, as we know. Obviously, maybe a couple of rumours that we're going to Germany, but nothing concrete. The only friendly so far announced England. Everton versus Newcastle, Wednesday the 12th of August in Scotland, 5:15. So
it's quite pricey as well, isn't it, the tickets?
Yeah, I know there's been a few issues or a few...
it's been a friendly as well.
A few other tidbits as well. As we go along.
That's proper old school going to Germany. They always used to do that in the 70s, and all the games always ended up in kicking matches. You know, it's talking about like club football. Oh, yeah. Whenever an English club went to Germany, there was always guaranteed there was always a sending off or a couple of sendings off. They always end up in bloodbaths, even though they're pre-season friendlies, you know.
Be good to supporters, Germany. Be good for the fans.
Hamburg, isn't it? Potentially.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. I went to Nuremberg when Everton played Nuremberg, and that's by far the best away experience I've ever had following Everton. By far. Absolutely immense away day. And anyone who was listening in or went there would absolutely agree.
I did Wolfsburg, but we stayed in Hanover when we heard that was a good result for us. Freezing like. Okay, Gav, Ndiaye. It's funny, isn't it? I always think, what are we going to talk about on each show?
We had a chat last night. Something
always pops up.
Yeah,
which, that's fair enough. It is a talking point, and it's something that we've got to address. First off, you're a bit surprised that Ndiaye didn't come on till 83 minutes last night. So.
But I'm not an expert on Senegal, but yeah, considering we were getting beat, was it 2-0 at that stage, was it? Yeah, possibly. and he has played, hasn't he?
Can't even get a game for Senegal.
Ghana plays well for an hour, didn't he? I thought yesterday.
Ghana, yeah.
But he ran out of steam a little bit. Possibly, I'd say I'm not an expert on the Senegal first 11, but possibly.
Well, I'll just read out his comments.
I was going to say, if you got his
react.
comments.
So, just for context. So we obviously did an interview with Sport Bible, and he's basically said, "You don't know where football will take you next. I want to be the best player, and to do that, you have to play at the top. I want to be playing at the top level. I want to be playing Champions League football." So, are these comments? Have these irked you? Have these annoyed you? Did they not bother you? No.
I mean, you hear this international players when they're with their countries.
Has he said this
to
before?
talk about this.
Has he said it pre or post?
Sure.
Or you don't
Pre
know
or
the time?
post World Cup?
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, or pre or during. So we don't know when the comments are.
Yeah. But going back to the question, no, not bothered me.
Disappointing?
No. I mean, you know what? Some of this goes back to what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago about Everton's ambitions, doesn't it? We go about we need to be ambitious. We need to go into Europe and Champions League. That's your own ambition. But one of our players says it, right? Okay, I want to make the best of my ability. I want to get in the Champions League. I want to get into Europe. Then actually, we some people criticise them for them, but every player is allowed to have. Players they want to make the best of themselves and their ability and get the financial reward. So from that perspective, I do not have a problem. Where I think it becomes a bit cloudy in Ndiaye's case, and I think Mr. Beasley of this podcast made this point yesterday, is in the context of his huge drop-off. I think you could say huge drop-off in form at the end of last season.
The timing of them then?
Yeah. If you'd had a great season, say if this had been the year before, last summer, when he'd had 11 Premier League goals, was it so? We saw 10 of them. And, we probably wouldn't be criticising him that much. We'd be saying, well, he's a really good player. So we would expect him to say this. Oh, and, bumps his market value up. It's the context of his performances from one open play goal from November, drop off after the AFCON. And then I know he switched sides, being left and right, maybe it didn't help. Just as his drop off of 4 at the end of last season, really, and not the second half of last season. And it's in that context, isn't it, really, that I think people are querying his comments. I think if they'd been 12 months before, I think people wouldn't have a problem. You suspect within there is a hidden message that says, in other words, I want to move. I would like to move and put myself out there in the market. Because he's got one big contract left, hasn't he? And what's he, 26?
Not that old, is he?
Yeah, I think he is. He's 26. Yeah. So he's got one big contract left, hasn't he? And if the stories are to be believed, perhaps he should be on a high salary at Everton, given his performances. And it's just standard stuff you see a million times. I mean, Lukaku patented this type of stuff, didn't he, when he was with Belgium and when he was at Everton. You've been like with him actually, Lukaku, haven't you? So I don't have a problem with the comments. But the hidden message is there. He probably wants to move, and I think his comments look a little bit. There's a grey area there, given his performances in the second half of last season. But lots of footballers say that when they're away on international duty.
Well, we'll come on to his second half of last season, and I've got loads of comments that I've made a note of, so I'll read them out as we go. So, do you think, given the comments and given, I guess, reportedly that he hasn't signed 3 contract offers, that he's actively now trying to force a move, or is he just being ambitiously honest?
Bit of both, to be honest, Ian. I think you need to start worrying if Ndiaye doesn't come out with them comments. If he's just happy being in mid-table, then I think you've got a big problem. If you've got players at Everton, the likes of the talents of Agreeda, Shadus Biol and Ndiaye, it was just not saying anything, happy just being mid-table teams, happy just staying in the Premier League, then that's, I think, cause for concern. I want our players to be going, I want to be playing in the Champions League. That's the aim for any professional footballer in that Everton squad. Yeah. They should be aiming for that. That should be their personal aim and their team aim.
It should be the aim, but is this not the issue that it throws concerns over his future?
But when you've got a very good player in your side and we're finishing in the bottom half, we've finished in the bottom half consistently for the past 5 or 10 years, then it's gonna happen. If you look at it, and listen, Ndiaye, the best performances I've seen from him this season have all been against very, very good sides. So he's shown and he showcased himself that how good of a footballer he is. I remember speaking to a Manchester City supporter last season after his best player on the pitch was City away, albeit Everton got beat. And the City fan was messaging me going, I can't believe how good he is. He said, I'd love him in the side. So we've got players the likes of Savinho and in the side. He said he gets in ahead of them all day long. So on form, if he's on form, he walks into most sides in the Premier League. Most sides in the Premier League, without question. But the problem is he hasn't been on form in the last 5 or 6 weeks. So we're straight away casting our narrative on his performances in the past 5 or 6 weeks, where we don't know what was happening behind the scenes in terms of contracts, and we don't know whether he's happening in terms of saving himself for the World Cup. We don't know. But what we do know, we've got a hell of a footballer in the team. And on form, he gets into most sides in the Premier League, so we need to keep hold of him. The problem is that does the owner's ambitions match his? That's the big issue here. There's a big difference.
But with that, all, I just think when you say that, what do you mean? When do the owner's ambitions matches? Because what else can the Freakins do?
Buy better players on his level.
We have got the money for that, though.
Well, that's what I mean.
So we need to go and find more of him. If we can go and find 25 million or whatever it costs us, go and find players of his own.
I understand when you say the owners and the Freakins because they're at the head of the club, but surely you mean the recruitment team and
it's a collective.
Important people.
So you don't know how much Everton have been given this summer. So you don't know if they come out with, say, I don't know, 120 million, then I go, okay, well, they are showing a bit of ambition. They've shown a bit of clout last season in the summer. They spent 120 million, albeit in relevant terms with the rest of the Premier League. It wasn't the best, but it was still a whole lot of money.
But we can only spend what we can spend.
But the squad cost on paper is damn awful. It tells you that the ratings in terms of how much each player's worth is one of the lowest in the Premier League. Yeah. That's a fact. There's no coincidence. No, there's no coincidence. You look at the state of that squad. What have you got? 2 outfield players in the World Cup. That's all we've got. Out of the squad of 20. That's tells you the state of this squad. It's awful.
No, but you're talking about ambition, and we can only show the ambition
so
what
we need
the club is capable of doing from a financial point of view. So we haven't got no financial muscle compared to other teams.
Okay, so what the owners need to go is that if they're spending exactly the same, we don't know in terms of what they're going to spend, but we need to match the ambition in terms of what our elite players want. If Jack Grealish signs, is that a show a hand and ambition? And he'll probably want top dollar as well, by the way. He'll be looking at Jack Grealish, Jordan Pickford, James Garner, for example, and apparently he's not even in their category yet. No, and he should be. He should be because he's one of our better players. But, so in his case, he's going, I've got the talent. I've been playing welfare the majority of my time here at Everton. I'm one of the best players in here. I want to play in the Premier. I want to play in the Champions League, and too right he should be. But what he's got to look at on the same token is that, well, he went to Marseille and it didn't exactly go to plan there, did he? Didn't exactly go to plan there. And you've got to look at that in terms of like, well, if he does make that next step, I think he'd be perfectly suited to someone like, I don't know, a City. Now, when a City and Semenyo and Doherty don't play, he's a shoo-in to play straight away. He's he's on that wavelength, in my opinion, on form. But the problem for him is that when he's not on form, it looks terrible for him, which we've seen in the last couple of months.
I'm not sure about Semenyo and Doherty. I think obviously they're playing for the better team than Everton, but I think they're a level above.
I think they're different profile of winger.
I think I said this the other week, didn't I? I think opponents have sort of sussed Ndiaye out a little bit, that just shove him into 10 yards deeper, away from the penalty area. And if you say, he's obviously a hugely skillful guy, isn't he, with the ball, and he retains the ball really well, and he's quite strong on the ball, but his best work, when you go, when you think, that was a great bit of skill or something, it is 20 yards, 10, 20 yards outside the area. He doesn't, unlike Semenyo and Doherty, who are playing for better teams, he's not hurting opponents in the opposition box enough. He's looking good further in deeper areas, and I think that's because people will, the way they press and mark him, I think they're quite happy to push him, get him in a position where he's receiving the ball deeper because he can't hurt you.
Is that sorry?
It's a tactical ploy
Is that
because
the
you know
way the
quite
team's
well. There's no
set up?
fullback. There's no fullback.
That's
why.
That issue, but is that not the way the team sets
I'm
up?
not sure
Away
it
from
makes
home,
sense.
we play deeper, and at home, the opposition played deeper. That's predominantly what's happened this season.
But even so, he's still. If you see his best work, he dribbles past 3-4 players or whatever.
I don't disagree with you, by
tends
the
to
way.
be deeper. I get the fullback thing, but actually going back to someone's querying, did he get 10 or 11 Premier League goals in 24-25?
10 season before.
Yeah, okay.
No
10.
assists.
Okay, I think he got 11 in all competitions. He's still playing with Mikalenko then, isn't he? And he got 10 Premier League
Don't
goals.
get him started on Mikalenko.
Okay,
That's a bad example.
Morales, yeah. But
What I'm trying to say, Gav, imagine him, right? Imagine Nico Riley behind him and Erling Haaland in front of him.
Oh, yeah.
At Everton, he's got Mikalenko and Beto. Come on, let's just get real here.
He's gonna, of course, he'd have far more.
He'll have his numbers up, his stats up, and all whatever you throw up.
Does he? I mean, that Ian said, does he create enough? Have we seen in his 2 seasons there? Does he create enough for the rest of the team? As I say, a lot of the fancy stuff is done outside of the box in areas that it's not going to hurt opponents. The Doku Semenyo thing is he was playing onto Haaland. Has he got that within his game? His skills to me appear to be a little bit deeper away from the penalty area. That's where he's at his best. He just doesn't look like a player whose natural game is to get to the byline, pull the ball back, all that type of stuff. I mean, he will do that, but I don't think it's a natural game. I mean, Doku and Semenyo are a level above him, but that's no disrespect. That's nothing wrong with that because they are absolute top quality players. But
he's going to play better with better players. I think that is.
You got to look at it right for who creates chances in this team. No one, because the 2 centre forwards are static.
Well,
so that's what I'm trying to say.
I get that,
James Garner was the most assists. Grealish was second.
Assists. Listen, we've talked about that assist. I'm just like creating chances for these centre forwards. They don't move. They're static. So the only ball Everton play is over the top for Beto. So when you've got centre forwards that do not move or make intelligent runs, then it's very unlikely. If you're a creative player, even we've got Jack Grealish, and he's struggling to create in this side. You can only do so much. I just think if you put in with better players, his performances are going to go tenfold. He's got 2 fullbacks that get nosebleeds when they go past the halfway line. Yeah. O'Brien and Mikalenko, they're redundant. He's got centre forwards that don't move. There's so much emphasis on. If you're marking Ndiaye and you're in opposition, you go, right, I'm going to bring you inside because you're not going to hurt me there because I know for a fact your fullback isn't going past me. Yeah. So I'll just brush you inside. And how many times do you see this season Ndiaye looking to go past a man? He's waiting for his fullback to go past him. The fullback doesn't go there, so he has to come inside and look to create. And he's taking 2 or 3 plays on, and he's walked across the face of the goal.
Do you
That's
consider
the problem.
Him to be Everton's best player? No.
I think I've probably been a bit short on the answer there. Branthwaite's our best player when fit, isn't he?
Okay. Second question: best attacking threat. Rephrase it a little bit.
When on his day, yeah, but I think that's because of the inefficiencies of others. I mean, I think Dewsbury Hall, he could say, at his best, offers you a bit of both, doesn't he? He creates a little bit and he can score. But if you were look, and this is the thing, isn't it? Is people will sort it out because they're not going to hurt you. They've got nobody else who's going to hurt you, are they?
I think we got off the point with. I think we'd all agree, Ndiaye are probably most attacking threat.
Yeah, he's still very good. I mean, got great value for money for him. Absolutely.
I think the question probably should be, or what I'm going to ask is, do we benefit more if Ndiaye stays in the team next season, or do we benefit more if we sell him?
But if he's unhappy, you don't want an unhappy player here in the team.
So what's the minimum? I'll ask you both. What's anyone in the chat who wants to contribute? What's the minimum that we should be looking for if it comes to, a bid comes in? Because we know we fought off Branthwaite, Man United for Branthwaite a couple of seasons ago with ridiculous bids, and I think we were looking in the region of 65, 70 million.
Well, what did Gordon go for?
80 was it? Is
like 70 million euros or something, whatever it was. He's not going for more than Gordon.
No way near.
Even though, listen, I just spoke of him. He's not going for more than Gordon. Gordon's proved it in the Champions League. And and he's got obviously sprint levels that excel anything that Ndiaye's got.
And he's 2 years younger, I think.
Of course, yeah. And in this game, you need to have pace. So if you haven't got pace, you need to be very, very exceptional to take a gamble on the play. So the likes of Manchester United will be looking at him. City to bulk up their squad. Even Arsenal could be looking at him. You look at the players that they're letting go in terms of Ndiaye or Trossard.
Is he physical enough for them?
Yeah. Ndiaye's probably one of the most physical in the Everton team.
No, he holds on to the ball and retains possession. I'm just talking about, like, he's not huge, is he, in terms of
what he wants as well. If
Arsenal have got big wingers, other than Saka.
Yeah, but they've got Trossard and Ndiaye and... But you look at it, he didn't even start for Senegal last night, did he? And the main purpose of that is that obviously the Senegal manager's probably been watching Everton for the last 2 months and going, he's not trying a leg, he doesn't deserve to get in the side. That's why they signed with Mane. I think Kamara started for them, he plays for Monaco, and Sarr for Palace. So that's the reason why he never started, because obviously he hasn't tried a leg for Everton in the last couple of months.
The Mirror reported that it was £70 million.
That's what you
Gordon.
want.
Yeah, Gordon. Sorry,
Gordon. So I'd say anything in the region of 60 to 70, we should consider it all being, and this is the big caveat to this, that we are already on the ball, replacing him with better or likely the same talent as him. It's no good us buying, I don't know, whoever it may be, who's nowhere near the levels as he is. It's pointless selling him then.
So a lot of people saying either 55 million with add-ons or minimum 60 million, so in and around that ballpark. LTL says 80 million, which I think we've agreed we're not getting that. I don't think any Premier League club is going to come in with that offer for Iliman Ndiaye.
50 to 55. Just to explain, Brian Burns just asked a question there when I was talking about Ndiaye producing the goods and penalty area. I'm talking about his chance creation, not his goal scoring, because in the area, he's excellent, isn't he? As somebody has played as
missed a few sitters towards the end of last season.
But he has played. His finishing in the area is usually good. I'm just talking about his goal, his chance creation. I think any football club supporter tends to overvalue their players because they think, especially somebody like us, who we when we hear players, oh, he's world class, whatever, but possibly not. And I'm not talking, I'm talking generally here. We tend to overvalue. I think in a realistic market, I think if you get 50 to 55, we're doing good business there. Really, I think we're not getting 60 or 70. I think his age will come into it in terms of his value.
His contracts will come into it.
He's got 3 years left. Yeah.
3 years left.
The ball's still in Everton's court.
Oh, massively. Yeah, massively.
I mean, especially if he's not on high wages, he'll be looking at his agents and looking for advice and saying, well, I could see out 3 years, but I'm going to have 3 years of relatively low pay comparable to other players in the team.
The ball be in Everton's court even more so if he continues to not get games for Senegal in the World Cup. He's going to come back with the tail between his legs and go, what do we do here now?
I said about being in the shot window in the World Cup. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point as well. But I just think it's. I mean, do you want an unhappy player in that you can possibly get a fee for if there's a willing buyer out there? I think also as well, and we spoke about this I think before we came on there. If you get money for him, he is one of our saleable assets, isn't he? Well, of which there are probably only 2 or 3 that you can get decent fees for that you can reinvest. And I think that's the other thing we need to consider. But I think maybe there was another comment he said, didn't he? It was quite interesting, is because I know the players were criticised. He said something in there. I think, I can't remember, got his full quote there about he didn't think at the end of the last season that our poor form was down to fatigue. Didn't he? Said that, didn't he?
He said he wanted to play more games.
Yeah. Which I thought was.
He started every game, didn't he? When he was done.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
But I don't. It'd be interesting to see some of his teammates' thoughts on that.
I made a bit of a prediction though. Are we being a little bit harsh though? Because on Ndiaye, look, we know he missed a couple of chances, and I was the first one to criticise him after the City game for missing those chances. But I remember predicting before AFCON, I bet you I'll try and go back and find the podcast, that once Ndiaye returns from AFCON, regardless of how long he stays there, there'll be a dip in form. Now, whether that is fatigue, travelling, just a natural dip in form, anything with regards to that. The derby, he scored the goal, which was obviously disallowed. Okay, should have been disallowed, that's fine. He's inches away from scoring that goal not kick-starting the season, but keeping that momentum going. It's probably the City game where I think he missed 2 gilt-edged chances there where he probably should have scored. He scores the goal against Chelsea. Momentum stopped a little bit because we've got a 3-week break. Taking it all into account, and like you say, I was criticising after the City game. I was criticised for criticising him. But do you think we're being a little bit too harsh? Is it just because what's happened over the past 7 or 8 games and the timing of this, it's all kind of coming into one? It's not great.
I think it's what we've come to expect from him. So it's the expectations on him because he's a good footballer. If it was I don't know, for argument's sake, a Dwight McNeil that was missing them 2 chances, then nobody would probably batter an eyelid, because that's probably what we expect from that quality of player. Whereas Ndiaye, his bar has just excelled, hasn't it? We expect them goals against Chelsea and Brighton, and the one against Sunderland where he comes in, takes 3 or 4 players on and puts one in the top corner. We know he's at that level. That doesn't go unnoticed, them goals, especially the one against Chelsea where he's tucks inside, drops the shoulder and puts one in the top corner. Then we know how good of a footballer he is on his day, and there's a lot of emphasis on this Everton team, especially when Jack Grealish got injured. It was like, it's Ndiaye to get us out of this here. That's it. That was it. It was like, look to him. So if he doesn't do it, and he's allowed to dip in form, quite obviously. Only he knows why he had, obviously the performances weren't there towards the back end of last season. And I don't mean in terms of his finishing. I mean in terms of his hard work, his effort, his commitment. It just didn't look right. Now, whether he was saving himself for the World Cup, whether he had a dip in form, whether it was the contract situation, we don't know what's going on personally. We just don't know.
Ironically as well, sorry to interrupt, but he went back over to the left, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but listen,
that coincided, whether that's just a coincidence.
As a number 10 yesterday for Senegal. He'll play left, right, or as a number 10. He's that good of a footballer. And there's a lot of emphasis in this Everton team is on him because he's a very, very good footballer. But the problem is, it's going to come to a decision now. But if he does come back to, obviously, when he does come back to Everton, it's like, if a big comes in, is his agent right now currently speaking to United, the City, and Arsenal, or Villa, or whoever these Champions League clubs in and around Europe? Because he's made it on record. He said it on record that he wants to play in the Champions League. I'd be more worried if he was quite happy just sitting in there in the bottom half. I want our players, as I touched on there before, I want our players to be saying, yeah, I want to be playing in the Champions League. I want to be playing in European competitions. That's my aim as a professional footballer. Start worrying if you're sitting there mid-table, non-ambitious, happy just picking a wage up at the end of the day. That's not for me. I'm happy that he's ambitious and he should be playing. His quality, he should be playing in the Champions League.
I mean, Gav, I know you said there maybe a suggestion that he could be unhappy, but I don't think there's that suggestion at the minute. I think from what we know is that the agent and himself wanted some like low release clause in the contract in at around 40 million. I don't think the issue of his wages is the problem, but there obviously has been a couple of murmurs, whether that's just speculation because his form has dipped, that his head had been turned.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably similarities. Wasn't Diaz left Liverpool, didn't he? Because when he had the thing over his wages, he was one of the lowest paid players in the squad, wasn't he? So that is an issue, especially if you come from, I know, like you want to play abroad, you know, like he obviously plays for Senegal. I'm just thinking about what Tony was saying there about. I agree with everything he said there. Talk about ambition is, you know, we said, you know, your point about it's a dip in form after the AFCON, and then like saying maybe looking towards the World Cup. From those comments, he obviously places a lot of faith in the playing in the World Cup, doesn't he? For his value and his, you know, and his ambition, and so therefore you could draw the line there from like, well, actually, I want to make sure I'm in the World Cup and fit, you know, during the summer. So, and there was accusations about this about a lot of players who may be taking it easy at the end of last season. So I've not got a problem with what he said. I do think though some of his performances at the end of last year, some of them can be explained in those comments there about the importance he places on the World Cup. It's an interesting one.
Not the only one who had dips in form, though, is he?
No. It's the rest of the team. Yeah, absolutely.
Even Kane and Dewsbury all. I think he's been fantastic all season. He's my player of the season. So it's going to sound.
Well, everybody did.
That's what I mean.
Garner dipped, didn't he? You know?
He's taking the brunt of it in Ndiaye.
Well, maybe that's relating. This is like his status was one of our 3 best players, isn't it? Really.
But I mean, he's coming out and obviously he wants bigger wages. He wants to play in all the best competitions. But I think what he needs to understand, and I've got no ambition. I've got no problem like what you say, Tol. Players' ambition, playing in these big competitions, Champions League, etc. But he wasn't setting the world alight with Marseille. So he's been good for Everton, but Everton have been good for him.
Players won't see it like that, Ian. Players won't see it. No,
but he signed these terms for his contract, and I don't know what he's on. And it's like we understand it's relatively low, but he's got 3 years left. He's got to play the game a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think players think like that. He'll be using Everton as a stepping stone to play in the Champions League.
Don't disagree.
That's just simple. He's come to Everton and go, right, if I rip it up here for the next 18 months, 2 years, I'll get a move to where my talents, I believe in, as a player of this ilk, I should be performing in. And I look at some of the Champions League games and you're thinking, his talent should be in there. He's a very good footballer. And that's where he thinks in his mind he should be playing at. So I've got no problems with his quotes or ambition whatsoever. I want Everton's ambition to be exactly the same. I want our owners, I want our manager, I want our recruitment team, I want our CEO saying exactly the same thing as him, going, I want this club to be playing in the Champions League. We want to match the ambition of our players. That's what I want. That's what I want as an Evertonian. That's what we should be. Shouldn't we all be saying that, the same as him?
I agree. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
So
I've got no problem with this stepping stone thing at the moment, because I don't think we've got the financial muscle, or in this current Monday football, that we're a big enough club to be able to attract these big players. So we are having to go out and find players.
So you go and find another one that likes of Brentford and Brighton and Bournemouth too. They just like one in, one out.
I mean, we've seen that 6 months with Ryan and Semenyo.
But Brighton sold Van Ecke, wasn't it? Played, he signed for £1.5 million quid, just sold them for 52 million quid.
But again,
I'll guarantee they'll have his replacement lines up in next week.
Can we conclude here that it will be mutually beneficial for both Everton and the player if somebody came in with a bid, say, of 50 to 55 million quid, and he went? Would it be beneficial to both parties if that was the case?
I think Everton can get another year out of him, to be honest.
Okay.
I do. I genuinely do. All right, well, okay, ask you. I know this is going to be difficult because you're an Everton fan. If you were his agent, if you were advising Ndiaye, what would you advise him to do right now?
Well, I'll tell you what I would be doing if I was Ndiaye. I said, why have you put me on a 5-year deal on wages that are not the best? That's the first question I'd be saying there, to be fair.
Good point. But that was my point.
But he couldn't lay them terms on coming from Marseille.
That was my point. He's been good for Everton, but Everton have been good for him.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. The player's seen as a stepping stone. My next challenge, I know I'm one of the best players here. So what's my next step? Is this club coming along with me, or do I have to move elsewhere to prove my ambition?
Well, yeah, but there's not very it could be argued there that signing a 5-year deal on relatively low wages is not very ambitious. You want a couple of year deals and 3-year deals, say, and trust your ability. Yeah, I just get this thing about unhappy players, and he's obviously looking at, he's looking elsewhere and thinking maybe there is better opportunities elsewhere than not at Everton, to be fair. And when that happens, is 9 times out of 10, you're best moving on. And we've got an opportunity with 3 years left on his contract. As I always say, the best time to sell a player is 12 months before it's too late. If there was a good offer from someone, then the club might be interested.
Yeah, well, there's one for you. Reverse it the other way. If you were Ndiaye, would you be looking to wanting to play in the Champions League with another club? Because it's not going to happen with us, is it? In the next year or so, at least.
If you, this is Lukaku stuff, this, isn't it? Yeah. Lukaku did this 3 or 4 times.
But they were all proven right. They were all proven correct. They all got the move that they wanted.
But he's not as good a player as Lukaku was.
No, well, there's different types of players, aren't they? What I'm trying to say.
In terms of his status.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that when there's a player who thinks they can play at that level, then I've got no problem with it because he thinks he can, and then I'm more worried about us matching his ambition, to be honest.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, but that's not going to happen. If he's playing in Europe, he can.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you were in Ndiaye right now, would you be looking to play in the Champions League? Am I right? Of course you would.
I'd be looking for Champions League wages.
You want to play in the Champions League, don't you? Because then you can demand the big. You don't want to be sitting there. Would you want to sit there in a bottom half team for the next 18 months too? Because that's all Everton have been. And I think we need to get away from the standards of, we're all Evertonians and we think this club should be in the top 6. But from anyone who's been watching football in the past 5 or 10 years, Everton have just been bottom half. Now, he will see it. We mightn't like to hear this, by the way, but he might see it as, what have I got to achieve here by staying another year at Everton?
Were Marseille in the Champions League when he was there?
I'm not so sure. I don't think he was.
I just think...
Well, in his perspective, in his mind, he's going, what have I got to achieve here by playing in a team that is bottom half, that is going absolutely nowhere unless we spend millions of pounds, which I don't think we will. So what is the point for me to be staying here at Everton?
Really
That's what I'm saying from a devil's advocate, by the way.
No. I just think he's come from Marseille where I don't know who else or who we were competing with for his signature, but he ended up coming to us. So that says a lot about he came to us in the first place. So there was no one else in front of us. He chose Everton. Okay, was it like 15 million? So he was probably at quite a... This is going to sound sarcastic, but maybe a low ebb in his career because it didn't work out for him at Marseille.
He's got the hard way, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's played non-league. He's got non-league a couple of years ago.
His value at that time, it wasn't great, was it?
Yeah.
He couldn't command huge wages. I think this is my point where, he's been great for us. He's kind of burst onto the scene a little bit, but Everton have been good for him. And Chris Roberts in the comments here makes a fantastic point. Isn't the issue that his agent isn't confident a club will pay big money for him, and that's why he wants a low release clause in any new contract?
Well, every club's going to be thinking that. Every club's not going to be overpaying for any player. That's what the agents probably thinking. Everton and the fans and all that will do demands, and that's why, as Gav touched on there, and in between 55 to 60 million.
I know 50 to 55.
But there's a lot of fans saying, 70 and 80. Well, that's the problem.
But we know Branthwaite the season before signed a contract, and we will understand that's got a release clause in it. It believes to be 70 plus.
That's fair enough. But there's been tangible interest in Branthwaite, hasn't it? And he was a couple of years younger. And
don't kid yourself. They'd be interested in him beyond the scenes.
No,
Ndiaye. He'll be fully aware, and his agents will be fully aware that there's clubs interested in his
But the point
signature.
being, Everton will want 60 plus, where, say, let's use City as an example.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to want to pay more than 40.
And I get that, and the agent's looking after himself and his player, isn't he? By obviously trying to negotiate a tactic with Everton by saying, I want this release clause in there, for example. But listen, it's all report, by the way. Agent will go, well, I'll try and get a fee down here so we can get a better wage for him. So then it's in the agent's favour and the player's favour to go to a bigger club and say, right, we've just got him for next to nothing on a decent fee for 40 million, then we can get better wages. Whereas if a club comes in and buys him for 60 million, so be it. They can't demand the wages then. That's why the agent's looking after this player.
I think he's been a little bit badly advised, to be honest. He's got 3 years left on his contract. That is a long time.
You don't sign a 5-year deal at 24, because that takes you through your peak years.
It's a long time to run your deal down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I take your point out, but I think if you know there's been interest in you from elsewhere and there's been conversations, as you don't come out and say that.
That's 100%. 100%.
You don't have to say that, do you, really? No. That to me smacks of somebody who probably is looking at thinking, I've got a bit of a, not raw deal, can't talk whatever he's on a week as a raw deal. I need to get a bit more money and possibly go to a better club. And I'd be quite happy if somebody came in to me to go. That's the type of statement plays. There's a whole, you can write a whole book of like quotes like that of players and they've gone. And you know, and that's where we're at, aren't we? And at the same time, you know, one if you wanted a new deal with them, like you'd want to say, well, I'll tell you what, you get your finger out your backside, mate, and start playing like you at the start of next season, like you did last year.
There's an argument to say that he has in the last 18 months, apart from them last.
Yeah,
not being funny in the last 18 months.
Yeah,
but we're looking at it the last 5 or 6 games. He'll look at it in his perspective, going, right, I've been here 2 seasons. Yeah. For 90% of the games, I've ripped it up.
Well, not ripped, but I know
he's been our best player.
Just a comment there, which me and the Blues always have disagreements, and I'm going to disagree with this one. Badly advised will be him signing another contract when he already has 3 years. I completely disagree with that, because if he's on low wages and he's going to be propelled up to over £100,000 a week, how is that being badly advised?
If it's in Everton's interest to do that, isn't it? If they want to retain him,
he could. If I was his agent, I would say, you've got 3 years left, so it's going to be very difficult to run your contract down based on the time period you've got left. I would sign a new contract. You get a bumper pay deal, and then you get 60 million release clause, 70 million release clause.
No one's going to be paying for that, and that's what the agent's thinking.
So what you do is you trust in your ability to have a good World Cup, to have another good season with Everton.
But there's not many teams in anywhere that are going to be paying 60 to 70 million.
Not if you rip it up.
And on the wages that you're currently thinking he should be given.
All he does now is then for 3 years, he stays on 20, 30 grand a week instead of going on probably 100 plus grand a week.
Hence why he's hoping
I know what
that...
I'd take.
Exactly, but hence why he's putting it out there that, by the way, clubs are wanting to play in the Champions League. He's putting it out there that he wants to move. Hence, clubs will come in for him in the summer and they can get him for 50, 60 million. That's what he's hoping for. Whereas if he goes on a bumper deal, as you're saying, it'll be very difficult for him to get them wages and the fee Everton demands on that contract.
Not if you trust in your abilities coming into the peak.
There's not many players that...
Career now.
I know, yeah, but there's not many players in say for argument's sake, he signs that 3-year contract that you're saying on 100 grand a week or whatever it may be, then he's going to be 27, 28 by the time he's played well in another season. There's not many teams around the world that are going to be paying best part of 60 to 70 million for a 28-year-old who's on that amount of money. It's not going to happen.
Well, not if you can.
That's why the agents...
Not if you rip it up.
Well, it doesn't happen, especially at Everton. It's
You're
very,
putting
very
him on
rare.
par with the likes of Semenyo and...
Oh, he is. On form, he is.
But based on what you're saying there...
On form, he is.
He's a level below Semenyo and Doherty.
So if it was me, I'd be saying, Iliman, sign this deal. Now, we'll try and get a 50, 60 million pound release clause in there. And then next season, if you rip it up this season, next summer, you might get a big move.
Do you not think that the Champions League club's interested in his signature?
Yeah.
There you go. That's why he's come out with the quote. He's aware his agent is already speaking to teams in the Champions League. He's fully aware of that. Hence why he's putting it out there. There's a reason for it. This just isn't happening because he spoke to Sport Bible after that. It's just not happening. He's come out there and he says it as it is, that he wants to play in the Champions League. As I'll keep on saying it, I'm more worried about we as a football club should be saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
He wants big wages though as well.
Right, okay. Question. Say there's no interest in him. Or, interest in Everton. There might be interest in him, but Everton will not entertain
realistic.
Saying like, okay. Yeah. So he comes back to the World Cup, turns up pre-season. There's not really any clubs out there that will pay what Everton would want for the player. But I agree. Someone that was at Liam Dummers has said 50 million, move on. A few people said I'd say 50 would be fine. What do Everton do?
Got an happy player on their hands then, haven't they?
What do Everton do?
What do you mean if they keep him?
Yeah, well, not if keep him. They have no choice but to keep him. Because they can't sell him to anybody else for the value they put on him. What do you think?
We're going to end up with a low transfer budget.
He's going to have to crack on and just carry on playing. What else is there to do? You've got 3 years left on your deal.
Okay, but he's obviously unhappy. Is that the point where you just turn around and say, Iliman, blah, 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 let's think of a new contract for you, up your wages? Would you think of that?
But his agent wants to, obviously, we're only reporting here, by the way. Yeah. His agent apparently wants a release clause lower than what Everton are hoping for.
Yeah.
So you can see that. So that's why it's dead.
But they're not in a great negotiating position there as well. Hang on a minute, mate. Your peak age is 26. Nobody wants to buy you. Right, okay. But having a release clause is saying, well, actually, what we disagree. Why we want a release clause? Nobody wants to buy you now anyway. And you're getting older. So what do Everton do? Do we offer him a new deal? That's a possibility, isn't it?
Well, we've offered them.
The problem is that there will be clubs in for them.
But that's what I'm saying. But we've offered them 3, but he thinks there's interest from elsewhere. Right, okay. If there is no interest elsewhere, then the club offers him another deal, maybe on lesser terms than what they have done previously. But I think one thing's certain, he can't go on to next season on the same contract that he is now. Can he?
That's his decision, though, isn't it? That's down to him.
Yeah, I don't think that will be beneficial for anybody.
I mean,
even if Everton do sell him for 55 million, do you trust this process that we've got with the recruitment team to go out and find
that's
better?
That's a separate issue.
Well, it's not, is it? Because it sells into. You may as well keep him then. That's what I'm trying to say. You may as well keep a player of his ability.
Well, the answer
if you can't trust the process.
The answer is probably no, because I don't think they've been given enough time to have trust in them.
So, take for argument's sake, he goes and we buy Tyreek George for 25 million. Would you be happy with that?
Well,
I think we'd be quite happy with that.
Would you?
Yeah.
Would you be happy if we sold Ndiaye for 55, 60 million and we bought Tyreek George as a replacement?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tyreek George is... Jeez. Well, no, we buy Tyreek not as a replacement.
Need to have a lie down here.
Not as a replacement.
Look, the problem is, though, is that we're never going to be able to sign someone who's better than Ndiaye or who's maybe on par with Ndiaye.
But why do all these other teams replace on par with better?
No, at the time of the purchase. So at the time of the purchase,
So what do you think the recruitment team should have been doing the past 6 months?
Well, they might be.
Well, that's what we're hoping for.
That's the point. We need to give
So
it
we
time,
need to have, I don't know, listen, I'm just shouting names out here, maybe a Somerville or a Bowen, have them lined up ready. That's what I'm trying to say. Have them types of players.
Knocking on the door, maybe. You never know.
But with Tyreek George, I'm not saying you should reply. Buy Tyreek George. If you said want the money for it, got the money for Ndiaye, I'd spend 25 million on Tyreek George.
I don't think George is an exact replacement, but I would, I'd
similar parts of the area.
Keep or avoid or buy. I'd buy.
And
he's young.
George. He's young and he's got potential. And you don't know what his ceiling is. That's the type of signing that people.
We've signed a couple of them in the summer, haven't we? And just gone pear-shaped.
That is the type of signing we say we want, don't we? Young players with potential. Buy them. That's my point.
So you're never going to sell Ndiaye and buy an immediate for replacements. It's just not going to happen.
Well, if you don't, you're just going to get a further bottom down the league. Then,
okay. So at the time of the purchase for Bournemouth, was Ryan an exact replacement for Semenyo? In terms of position, maybe, but in terms of quality and his attributes at the time, you're going to say no, aren't you?
Well, he's got in, scored goals. Bournemouth haven't even stood still. They've gone up a level.
No, all right, fair enough. But looking at it this way, if he was the exact same player, the exact same quality, then City should have just gone for Ryan instead of Semenyo.
But they didn't want to take a chance. That's why City won't do. City went Mark Gay and Semenyo, proven. They weren't willing to take. City don't buy unproven players. They'll buy proven ones ready to hit the ground running.
It's a bad comparison because they're able to.
Well, that's why. Yeah,
so we will need to take a chance.
Well, Van Eckers just left Brighton. Guaranteed Brighton will have the centre back straight in for half the money.
That's a separate discussion.
But it's not because you're having that's the whole point of recruitment, Gav. Having your players lined up and ready to come in.
I'm sure that they've got a list of replacements for Ndiaye.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm sure it's on a spreadsheet somewhere in Hilditton and Finch Farm.
Have you got what's the password?
Number one?
What's the password?
I thought you'd have it, to be honest. I'm sure that's the case, and if it's not, I'm very worried.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's my argument in terms of having the replacement ready if he does go. And I'm unsure by what I have witnessed last summer and in January gone by that we will have a replacement lined up to obviously replace Ndiaye with. If not, you may as well keep him. But I'm sure him and his agents will be speaking to clubs within the hope of trying to come in because they'll double his wage whatever he's on at Everton. So wherever this club, and there's a lot of clubs playing Champions League football at the moment, and you're going to see a lot of change. You'll probably see Morgan Rogers leave Villa for Arsenal. You're going to see loads of players moving elsewhere.
I don't think Villa would be buying Ndiaye if Morgan Rogers left, would they? I mean, there's a big gap there, isn't it?
I'm just saying there's a lot of Champions League clubs this summer.
So what's the summary of our conversation so far? I'm just trying to think.
That we could end up with Dwight McNeil and Grealish on loan again.
Thank you very much, by the way, for everybody. Some great, really, really good comments.
I'll read some out in a sec.
Yeah.
Tony's talking nonsense. That was a good one.
But it's everyone's got an opinion. Now, we spoke for 40 minutes. I'm just looking at my watch now. We've been spoken for 45 minutes. 55. And
I spent about 5 minutes just testing the mics.
and me going on about my England supporting past. Mm-hmm. And strange enough, the Ndiaye missing his goal. What are we saying? Are we saying that we think he's going to go? Or are we saying that actually we would be quite happy to see him go if the club, will, 50 million, 55 million, whatever, are happy with the fee? Or what do we do if there's no club comes into him? Is he forced position? Maybe he gets a new contract. What that contract would look at?
So many permutations. You have to assess the offer when it comes in. I think if it's in the region of 50 to 60 million, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes.
Yeah, top 50 million.
No, it's in the region.
I think they'd accept.
If we can, if the club were coming in for him, desperate for him, which they're probably not going to be, but they'll know that they can. They need that type of player. If no one comes in for him, which is probably unlikely, I do agree. Bad sound if someone is, then he just stays.
Well, you've got to take into consideration as well in terms of Everton's transfer kitty this summer. So, for argument's sake, I don't know, Everton have got 50 million to spend this summer. And Moyes has been told, that's your kitty, get your left backs, your right backs, your centre forwards, or if we can raise 50 or 60 with Ndiaye, then you've got 110.
Yeah, but Everton aren't going to actively go out and say to agents and
no,
teams,
of course not, but they'd be
speaking
to Moyes going, listen, this is your pot you've got to play with in the summer, and this is what could be with any sellable assets that obviously are sold.
This player and this transfer, which is obviously going to turn into a saga, is going to affect the whole dynamic of our transfer, recruitment, isn't it?
In a good way.
Well,
gives us more options if you got 50 million quid.
It's just going to affect it either way, the dynamic of it, because essentially we don't need to fill in Ndiaye's place, but if he goes, then we do.
You've got to replace him.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
I'm saying at the moment he's not his position is not a priority position at this moment in time, because we've got Ndiaye, we've got Diblin, we've got we haven't got Grealish, but we could have Grealish. We could have Tyreek George. So I guess if he goes, if Iliman Ndiaye goes, that does become a priority.
If you think about it on paper, so you've got Dibbling, who's obviously we don't know what his future holds. He could easily be sold or on loans elsewhere.
When you think about it,
McNeil looks as though he'll be going. Jack Grealish is now a Manchester City player. Yeah. Tyreek George is now a Chelsea player. So theoretically, we've only got one winger.
Three wingers.
Yeah, and obviously two of them. Look, we don't know what the future holds with them.
Well, we know McNeil
will probably go.
Yeah.
So then you've got left with, at the moment, as things stands, one who we don't know what's happening. So at the moment, with all the 5 wingers that we've currently got, it looks as though we don't know any of the futures, what's going on with them whatsoever.
That's why it changes the dynamic of what's priority. Yeah. We know what the priority is, but that becomes more of a priority now, doesn't it? Right, some comments. So Danny Church says, no player is bigger than the club. If he wanted Champions League football, he should have put a shift in the last 7 games. He missed a few chances and put the ball away. We need to get 70 million and 2 new players in. Eltel says, look at the transfer fees for West Ham. For West Ham players, surely we can get 80 million at least. He's not really bothered if he goes. We need reinforcements ASAP, and we need a right back as well. Carl Byron, if he wants out, that's fine, but keep it private between himself and the club. The media will love his comments. It's just the timing of this, I guess, Tor. We did touch upon it a little bit before. Doesn't help the fact that his form dropped off. People are going to assume his head's being turned. Everton are in a bit of a difficult position when trying to attract players to the club, and we missed out on Europe, and he's come out going, effectively, I want to play for a club who's in the Champions League.
It's mad, isn't it? Because if he were to finish the season the way he can do and the way we've seen, and if he were to finish one of the 2 of them chances off against Manchester City, if we were to finish in Europe, you can guarantee half of them comments on there will probably go, need to keep him, keep our best players. We're in Europe now, we need to beef up the squads. We've ripped it up. It's a different conversation.
Would he have made these comments, do you think? And it's hard to say if we were in Europe.
It's difficult to say, isn't it? I think he still would have, because I think he sees himself as a Champions League player in his ability. And he probably looks at the Champions League every Tuesday and Wednesday on the television and goes, I can play in that. I can play in that. I believe in myself. I believe in my ability. I've come to Everton. I've used it as a little bit of a stepping stone. I want to play in the Champions League. And I think in his heart of hearts, he's basically putting it out there saying, I wouldn't mind to move to a Champions League club.
That's a world of a comment, by the way. Which
one?
Isn't it? Why is it every summer we always need about 8 players? And there's an element of truth in that. And that's a whole podcast in itself, if you think about it. And but that's never a true word. That.
But we still didn't get enough last summer when we needed probably 11, wasn't it?
Even 6 or 7, was it?
Yeah, but it was a few of the players we got rid of in the 12 were like reserve academy keepers, Wendy and stuff like that. So. But
there's still quite a lot that played a large chunk of games. Your Calvert-Lewins, your Decore's, your Ashley Youngs. They still played a whole host of games that season.
Yeah, and we got okay. But anyway,
you never picked up a penny for any of them.
KD Toffeeman says, in my opinion, anyone who wants to further their career, you cannot begrudge them of moving. Happens in all industries. Individuals wanting to better themselves and die is no different.
Yeah,
I agree.
And it comes down to, in the bigger picture, which obviously is a different podcast in itself, it comes down to where we are as a club and our transfer strategy. Selling club, don't think there is a selling club anymore.
Everyone's a selling club.
It's about surviving and dealing and recruitment and swapping players around, and there's clubs doing it better than us at this moment in time.
If you don't get that as a meme, if you don't get that as a meme, and there's something of,
make a note of that.
You've got to get that as a meme.
I just thought can I go? Yeah. What you're saying about our transfer strategy and people who do it better, well, hang on a minute. Look at Ndiaye himself. What was the fee for Ndiaye? 17 million 2 years ago. And a 5-year deal is book value, i.e. what's in the accounts, its value, what you talk about the value as a player, will probably be about £10 million. If we sold them for, say, 50 million, which could be the low end, 50 million, that's a 40 million profit on a player that we've had 2 years of decent service out of. That is exactly the type of deal that we get about all the time on here, isn't that we should be doing?
So
that's what we should be doing.
If you watch the Wednesday, what do we say Wednesday? If you watch the Monday show with me and Paul Wheelock, I did reserve some praise for Kevin Thelwell's transfer dealings. Obviously, after the fact, there's a couple of players in there that he bought who are key members of the Everton team now.
Or other players like Anana that we were sold on for a profit. And I think, as I said before, Tony and Gavin did a really good job in the circumstances, and that's looking more and more apparent now.
Like Chimity and Beto, I could name a few baddies,
it's been mixed.
Beto they had no choice, was it really? We were offering the 5. We'll pay it over 5 years.
This terminology of Beto's deal is if like every player is paid for.
You're never going to give any positive talk to Beto.
Because it's not good enough. That's
the choices we have with Beto is like we have to pay it back over 5 years.
That's what happens in most deals.
No. But for 26 million quid was overpriced because the other club wanted. He's not a 26 million pound player, but they wanted 26 million pound because it's a debt. His purchase value was 20 million probably, and we paid £6 million in interest because we're paying back over 5 years.
But there's a lot of deals that expand over the time of periods you play them for.
No,
it's very rarely you'll just go, right, there's 27 million up front and that's it. It doesn't happen in this day and age due to PSR.
But 5 years repayment terms. Anyway, forget about
that.
There's
better strikers out there than 5 years regardless anyway.
That's a separate conversation. But anyway, this is the type of deal that we say we should be doing, shouldn't it, really?
I agree.
And we need to remember that. But I do think it'd be interesting to see if anybody comes in. And it's Ndiaye. If he goes to another club, he might not get game time like he got at Everton, by the way.
But he'll be playing Champions League.
Yeah.
That's what he'll think in his mind. And he'll be able to force out whoever's in the reckoning because of his ability.
Last two comments then before we finish off. So Brian Burns says, I always thought his head had been turned in the latter part of the season.
He said that was brought up on this.
Can't blame him. Get rid.
Absolutely.
But he says minimum 75 million.
I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Tim K says, I think his form dipped dramatically towards the end of the season. Was he protecting himself so he can put himself in the shop window at the World Cup? So, points that we have discussed on the podcast. I mean, unfortunately...
in previous podcasts, that was brought up. People brought that up at the end of last season, didn't they?
It's going to be one that this is going to roll on, isn't it?
Until a club comes in and actually bids for them.
We survived, whether that's the right word, but we survived Branthwaite when we all thought that, my God, we need to sell. United came in with a ridiculously low ball offer. I think a multitude of low ball offers.
Do you think he'll be an Everton player next season?
No.
Ndiaye?
Yeah. I don't think he will.
I think it'll be a case if the club get a bid they want, not happy with that they won't stand in anybody's way, really.
And it'll be a case to boost the transfer kitty as well.
I think that's what it'll be for. And it's... Yeah. There'd be tears in my household because my son, he's got Ndiaye 10 and he loves him. And
this is the thing.
He's like a fan's favourite, isn't he?
Lads at that age where they become attached to players.
Yeah.
I think we're all at that age now where, I'll be honest with you, I just don't care.
I know, because we've gone through the Rooney scenario. Care. We've gone through the trauma of selling our best players in years gone by, so we're used to it. But for the generation of Everton supporters, it's like they see Ndiaye and they go, wow, he's our best player. So then you're explaining to the next generation, it's what you need to do to suit, like, obviously, PSR, so you can go again. Exactly. You go, fans don't think like that.
Fans just loved over the years.
The fans just want to see a good Everton team on the pitch. They're not interested in PSR and what we need to do in the transfer market. They just want to see very good footballers on the pitch in Everton shirts, and he's one of them. That's sadly it, and that's just the nature of the beast. Hopefully, and as I touched on there before, hopefully we've got the replacement lines up ready for him if he does go.
We need to get our hands on that password then, don't we, for
what
the
do you think the passwords would be at Hill Dickinson, Gav? With all them players A, B, C, because Moyes did say last year, didn't he?
Freaking one.
He did say, didn't he? He said there's 5 players. He said we could be going down the list because obviously Liam Delap, and then we were going next and next and next. So obviously Thierry Barry, God knows what.
But that's all we did last season.
Well, on God knows where he was on the list. Was he 2, 3, 4, or 5? We just don't know. But wouldn't man get your hands on that password?
Well, that's what I'm with. It was at the City and Liverpool where
it did. When he
moved employees at the previous pass. That's the big question, Brian Birds. So did you temp up?
Don't speak to me about it. I'm in a foul move because of it.
Did he back?
There was an horse at Royal Ascot yesterday called 10 Bob Tony, and I was in work. The worst part about it, so obviously totally forgot all about it. I was in work, and I get home, and with me dad being obviously named Tony as well, I said, Dad, did you back that horse today? He said, no, I don't think it did, lad. So I said, have a look what won. So he said, it wasn't 10 Bob Tony, was it? I went, yeah. I said, I'm gutted I never had a single penny on it. 150 to 1. Whoa. And I said to my dad, I said, did you back? He said, I don't think it is. And next minute he got his betting app up and go, oh yeah, it has a 5 each way and that. I went, oh my God, you just made me even 10 times worse. So I never had an absolute penny of it on it, but my dad did.
Back
5 each way, 50 to 1. I was sick.
Won't be 50 to 1 next time.
Exactly. And Joe, the worst thing about it is everyone's come up to me since going, did you back that first winner? I go, no.
Do you know what that is? That's typical Everton.
It is, isn't it? Oh, I was sick, absolutely sick, coming out of work, and I looked at it, and the bet was in my history, so it was and I literally forgot. I was just tied up in work. I was going, oh, absolutely gutted, but hey ho, these things happen. We come again.
Right, we'll have to talk about pre-season schedule another time. Hopefully we'll have friendlies announced by that time. But we will have Premier League fixtures announced by Friday, so looking forward to that.
Oh, we get an home game first game, home game,
which will be
because we were Leeds away last season, wasn't we, on a Monday night?
Yeah, there's fixtures on Boxing Day this year as well.
You happy with that, Gav? Boxing Day fixtures?
Yeah, there's no fixtures again next year at Easter, isn't it? I think right,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they're not getting released till 10.
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
They
always get a leak, which I don't think's good before.
No, they just get them out, isn't it? 10 o'clock and that's it. But yeah, I'll be looking for a home game, last game of the season. That'll be good. Because if you think about it, last season, we played our first game of the season away and our last game of the season away.
That was at the request of the club, wasn't it, for the first
because of
one?
the stadium.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'll be just looking for a good performance on the last day of the season, to be fair. I don't care where it is. To be honest with you, the best one this year. Yeah.
It'd be strange, wouldn't it, seem the likes of Hull City and Ipswich and Coventry in the mix. Frankie Lampard comes back.
It'll be Coventry away, won't it? Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Monday night.
Monday night. Well, we're gonna have. We know quite well. We're gonna have a lot of Monday night games again, don't we?
Not as many as this year because there's some
Newcastle,
Chelsea
clubs
Monday night, isn't there?
Yeah, but there's loads of teams in Europe.
Newcastle, Chelsea,
last year where us and United and
Tottenham are in Europe.
The only shows in town. There's Tottenham, Chelsea, Newcastle. Also playing.
They all can't play on the Tuesday.
No, but there'll be
more
choice. No, but they're not in Europe, are they?
It'll only depend on whether the team that you're playing that week is in Europe.
Is it Tuesday or a Wednesday?
Or a Thursday?
Yeah.
We last year.
And after leagues in Europe, so we're going to get
Friday night games, isn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, there'll be less Monday night games. Hopefully.
As long as there's no Saturday morning ones, I'll be happy with that.
Eltel says, lads, stop arguing. I can't stop laughing.
Right, no better way to end the pod on that, is it?
That's what podcasts are for.
Yeah.
Arguing in a nice and pleasant way.
Wait till chairs start getting thrown. Can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
Okay, that has been your Royal Blue Wednesday podcast. We will be back Friday for a live show to discuss the Premier League fixtures. Thanks to Gav, thanks to Tony. I've been Ian Croll, and this has been your Royal Blue podcast.